What's worse than a one-joke SNL sketch that stretched to 7 minutes? A one-joke SNL sketch stretched to 90 minutes. We watched MacGruber, and this is In Defense of Bad Movies. Hey everybody, Sam here. Welcome to In Defense of Bad Movies. I am, as always, joined by Lauren.
Hello.
Laura.
Hey.
And Bobby.
Yo.
What's going on, guys?
Not much.
I
didn't care for Coneheads either.
Coneheads. Did you actually see it?
No.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, guys, I did. Are
Did
you
you
kidding?
really?
Of course.
Did you like it? Can you defend it?
Well, no. But I was a child, so 14-year-old Lauren could probably have, some arguments for it.
I know, obviously we're not talking about that, but that was such a weird choice to do a sketch that was easily 15 years old by that point, if not older. But anyway, we're not here for that. How's everyone doing before we get down to business?
Pretty good. I
That's
mean,
good.
I'm just getting over being sick, but it's, understandable. I was in the airplane for
Oh my god, we did
about 11 hours. I just came back from Tokyo, so
They'll
still
just give you
trying to
those surgical
recover.
masks as soon as you get on the plane.
I brought one, but then on the way back I didn't wear it, and I should have.
Oh, you should have.
Yeah, I know.
'Cause
A
you were
lot
doing
of
surgery.
sick people on the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, do you guys want to see a picture? Hang on.
this will be great for
for our podcast. I'm so excited we're doing this. Just to make it clear, we've been hanging out for a couple of hours.
I left my phone earlier.
Laura's waited.
I wasn't joking.
It's a picture of Laura wearing a mask.
Yeah.
A surgical mask, if you can imagine.
I am too vain, no matter how much I might be risking illness, I can't wear a surgical mask in public.
Oh,
Like,
I
I
bought
can't
some
do.
in Japan, so I have a whole
They give away
package.
vending machine.
I will give you one, Lauren.
It really is an attention grabber.
I only wear them if
Something
I'm
can be
doing a
up here.
surgery in public, which is often.
Yeah. Too often, I'd say. Don't you have a restraining order for that? So, we watched MacGruber. Thanks, Bobby,
You're
for
welcome, guys.
making us watch this movie.
Aw.
Before we get...
Oh, really? I just came back from watching a robot show. I forgot to tell you guys earlier.
Well,
That's another thing I
let's
did.
get from you, Laura's 15-second movie synopsis, not robot show synopsis. Lauren, do you have your timer ready? You don't.
I'll get there. I'm just looking at the results of the French election and getting
How'd it go?
worried.
Oh, I see.
It's
Yes.
going to a runoff with far-right crazy person and center-leftist.
We're really being...
We don't have to put this in the
We're
show.
really dating ourselves right now. No, it's all going
It's
in.
in the
You-
zeitgeist. This is going to
Was it,
influence
that's
what we're talking
what
about.
was expected, right? Those two?
I was really hoping that Le Pen was going to be knocked out.
Hey guys, Le Pen 2017.
Oh my god, Bobby! I'm done. I'm done with you.
But I'm ready now. Timer.
Okay. As soon as both of you guys are ready, go.
Okay, so MacGruber is, as Sam said earlier, is a skit that was taken from a Saturday Night Live. It's a skit from Saturday Night Live with Will Forte, and it really is. The plot doesn't really have much sense. Val Kilmer is a bad guy.
I'm sorry. That's
So
all the time we got.
I don't really need to tell
Oh,
you
no,
anything
no, I'm
else
sorry. That's the end of
because it's really not that complicated.
complicated.
Just Will Forte's in it, Kristen Wiig, and Val Kilmer. Oh, and Ryan Phillippe.
Philippe.
Is it Philippe?
I don't
Philippe?
know.
Philippe, right?
Philippe is what I've always
Philippe.
heard.
That's stupid.
Like the least ethnic option.
This movie was rated R,
It
right?
was.
It really was. Now we watched the unrated.
So
And
I'd be curious to know what the difference is. It's
There's
5
just-
extra
I'm-
There's
minutes.
a few more jokes.
Okay.
I read the differences before I made my purchasing
Oh, you
decision.
did really? Okay.
And I realized in reading the differences that I had watched the unrated version before, and
Okay.
I just didn't know.
So maybe just like the "I'll suck your dick" joke goes on like a minute longer than it would in the theatrical cut.
That was like the best part of the movie.
the one thing I do, like, for example, it's in the unrated one, Powers Booth makes the comment about, like, I don't know why he had to do all that cursing, and MacGruber says, this is a damn fucking shame of a day or something, and then Powers Booth adds, Do you guys watch the unrated one?
Yes, we
Yes.
did.
Powers Booth adds that line about like their kids were there or something like that. Like that's not in the rated one.
That's not?
It's that kind of shit where it just drags the scene out a little bit longer.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
That's
Because
interesting because
That's what this movie needed, was to be stretched even further.
No.
But is the line that like the MPAA like, all right, there can be like all this
Oh.
sex stuff and crazy violence, but like if you're talking about cursing in front of kids,
Which is still, like...
no.
No, because unrated, I think it happens
Unrated
less
also.
now, but unrated happened, you know, I feel like it was like the mid-2000s to like 2010, unrated Blu-rays or unrated DVDs were a big deal, but that was like, they would just add a bunch of random shit back into the movie.
Stuff that was taken out,
And then
probably for pacing
they wouldn't run it
reasons.
through the MPAA, so they
Yeah.
could say unrated, and they could get
Oh,
people
I
to...
see.
But it wouldn't have been necessarily rated any worse or any...
Yeah.
I mean, if it was PG-13, it might have been rated to an R, but if
Exactly.
it's an R, it's not it's not going to get NC-17 for...
Well, I feel
Yeah.
foolish.
No, it's no
I
reason.
feel like I've been bamboozled. I keep buying these unrated cuts, hoping for the crazy violent sex scene.
Or the penetration.
You mean
Exactly.
There was
you
a
mean
movie...
that the part where he's screwing his dead wife?
Whoa! Spoilers!
Was it?
The spiritual projection of his dead wife. Thank you.
Of course, it doesn't need to be said, but we're going to get into spoilers. And with a comedy, that means ruining a lot of punchlines. So
Yeah.
go out and see the movie first, and then come back and listen.
I'm taking that as an endorsement.
We're admitting that there were jokes. Ha!
Yeah.
Go out, run, don't walk.
We will have spoilers for the movie, but I'm not giving spoilers as to my final verdict. So, I gotta say too, it was bloody as hell right from the start.
It was.
Yeah.
The first shot is a bloody windshield, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I didn't realize it was R at first. and
Right.
So I think that was probably like, whoa.
Yeah. And
This
I'm like,
unrated is
this
crazy.
is what they added. And then later I found out it was rated R. I'm like, okay, then I don't know what they added. Yeah.
The movie, I think, has some tonal problems.
That's fair.
It's definitely confounding, like when you're
Yeah.
expecting one thing.
Yeah, like it doesn't. I don't think it does a very good job with balancing the violence and the comedy, and the absurd and the realistic. Like to
There's
me,
realistic?
Don't think...
like
I'm
just having him as like going.
What they're-
Having conversations with, that's what I mean by realistic, like having conversations with the characters when he's not like being, he's not exaggerating every scene. I don't know, like
I'm not...
can I
Yes, go for it.
no, I mean, I just was gonna say that the Saturday Night Live skit was this is nothing like it aside from Will Forte.
The same character.
Is
Yeah.
plays MacGruber.
Did you say Hans MacGruber?
I just said MacGruber.
Okay.
But it's like, and in the skit, in the Saturday Night Live skit, if no one is familiar with it, he's like really inept and he can't. He's really inept. Will Forte's MacGruber on Saturday Night Live is really inept and he can't manage to do anything, and so he inevitably always kills the three people who are in the skit with him. I can't remember. Does Kristen Wiig always,
Yes.
or does she come in halfway?
It was Maya Rudolph first,
Oh,
but there's
okay.
never an explanation as to why she stopped. It was really that she
Oh,
loved the
okay.
show,
Well,
and it's just
that's really
suddenly
funny that
Kristen Wiig.
It's echoed in the movie.
And that was sort of their offer to explain, like, why she was
okay.
gone.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so the movie just kind of takes the character of MacGruber and like gives him a
Yeah.
story. And yeah, it's anyway. I just think that there's not enough of a story to have for this movie.
And like I said in the intro, like SNL frequently takes one premise and stretches it for 7 minutes. This wasn't even that. This was a much shorter sketch on SNL. So for it to be stretched into 90 minutes, that's keeping a lot of balls in the air.
But I have to say, I really appreciated, and it's tough when it's working with such a short material, like it's just, a sketch that's under a minute real quick while they have the ticking time bomb. But in so many of the adaptations of the movies, you find of the SNL characters, they're like trying to rehash sketch jokes and just stringing them out through a whole movie. In this one, because there's nothing to it, I like that they were, through necessity, had to have a whole film before like the last climax was returning to the sketch premise. And I actually really appreciated that.
Yeah, I mean, rebuild MacGruber. Like
Yeah,
there isn't much from the sketch.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from kind of that
the MacGyver takeoff. But
I mean,
it's where he fails.
it's more a send off of like 80s action movies
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
kind of like the real masculine action hero than MacGyver. I don't know. I've never seen MacGyver, so
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just
kind of
assuming.
that.
MacGyver's
It's
back too,
something to
or
go
at least
for.
it came back. It might be gone now. But
But it's not a lot of like there isn't a lot of time spent, making things out of other things, or it's mostly I don't know. But I think go for it.
I was just going to say, which on that note, there's a joke in the very beginning that I mean, the joke with MacGyver is, or the thing with MacGyver is, he takes impromptu things that he does has lying around. But there's a joke in the early in the movie that suggests that he creates these impromptu things. He's sharpening his little thumbtack and other things to take with him, which I thought, like, I enjoyed that. I thought it was funny. And then, like, how are they going to stretch this in the whole movie? But then that stuff was all thrown to the side anyway.
Yeah.
So
I feel there's and it's so hard to critique the movie because it's sheerly silly. Like, it's absolutely
silliness,
just
yeah.
ridiculousness. And you kind of can't get mad at it. Like, it's enjoyable, and so we can't tear stuff apart. But I feel like, as far as the character of MacGruber, like, does he have skills besides? And so, like, I feel like that was maybe a drop. Like, he's ridiculous. He, like, ruins the plan. He, like, gives away his, like, actual continuing to live when the villain thought he was deadness. Like, really early in the film, like, he just gave away our advantage. But it felt like there had to be a couple places where we could see why he was valued and good at his job. Like, maybe he was good at the building stuff suddenly. But it feels like the only thing he is good at is throat ripping out.
Yeah.
Which he really
is-
values.
yeah.
And
he is completely inept.
Well, and showing his
Not
ass
only
too.
inept,
And showing his ass.
That's not only inept, he's an asshole.
like,
Yeah,
also
he
straight up
is.
dick.
He is.
So, like, it feels like we need to see a little bit more of, like, moments of skill to balance that. Like, I grant you, the celery in the ass was an effective distraction.
I was gonna say he does the celery in the ass, which works. He doesn't disarm the nuke, but he
Takes out
he takes out its
guiding.
the tracking systems and everything.
Yeah.
So
But
First
that's our
nuclear
climax.
launch, yeah.
Right.
It feels like along the way to
Sure.
earn
I think that's
Ryan
fair.
Phillippe's respect. Surely he needs one or two more moments of skill or success.
And I think if there's one character who kind of could be more consistent, because I was thinking about what Laura was saying, and I don't know if I think there's tonal consistency in that. I don't think the movie ever takes itself seriously ever. Like, I don't think even in the sad backstory moments there's a moment where it can go 2 seconds without undervaluing some sort of character development. And one of my favorite moments of the movie is when he and Ryan Phillippe sit down and they have their moment where they finally reach mutual respect, and then immediately after he uses it as a human shield. Like, that's great. But also, I think if Ryan Phillippe's character was a little more consistent in the way he reacted to MacGruber, that I think that would go. That would build toward, I think, what you're saying, where we don't know whether MacGruber's competent or not in the eyes of everyone else around him,
or not
because
straight up insane.
it feels like Dixon goes back and forth with how he respects MacGruber. If that makes
Dixon
sense.
is Felipe.
Dixon Piper.
He also, he seems to want to be on the team, but there's really, aside from Powers Booth's words that this guy's really amazing, there's really no reason. There's never any backing it up. So
I mean,
why
he's
would
got 16 Purple Hearts.
That's true.
So just an occasional.
Which Purple Heart is when you get injured.
Starting quarterback for
UTEP, University of Texas at El Paso. Yeah.
These are, of course, all the credentials they list off for him when
Yeah.
he's discovered in his monastery that he's been hiding in for 10 years since the murder of his wife. Looking kind of nice as a monk, guys, am I right? Right? Will Forte with, like, the long, curly monk hair.
Will Forte.
Looking kind of sexy.
And he's got a decent body.
He clearly did movie bodybuilding. He did naked scene bodybuilding.
And he is clearly has no shame in showing that.
That's what I was going to say. He's in good shape. He's got a weird body in that he's sort of weirdly proportioned and he's really hairy and he's like no shame at all. He's just so...
He's got a normal guy body. I mean,
So
a
proud of
decent
his
guy
body.
for normal. Decent.
Well, he shaved off half of his hair for Last Man on Earth.
Spoilers.
I mean,
Right?
did you
Man,
see? I'm not
some of
even
us
caught
haven't
up on
even
it.
started it. Jeez.
But I just saw him with half an eyebrow and half a hair, and I'm like, what?
I absolutely respect Phil Forte for his willingness to go for it.
Yeah.
That's good. Now, I've heard this argument about comedy movies, genre comedy movies especially, that for it to work, you have to remove all the comedy, and it still works. And I don't know if this movie gets that. because he is so inept and such an asshole that it just never quite works.
Right.
As to, like,
you'd have to
I don't
fix a few other
buy
things.
that this guy is really saving the day.
I don't buy that credential is a catch-all for every comedy. Because I'm like thinking right now of like Airplane is a really silly movie, but it's a very funny movie. But
Airplane is but that plot is based off of one of the airport movies, like a pre-existing.
Sure, but
that presumably worked.
I don't. But if you take Airplane, you remove all of its jokes, I think it functions about as well as MacGruber.
And
I'm not saying this is a better movie than Airplane.
And are you suggesting we haven't seen the 80s action film where the lead is just an asshole and they give him some dead wife backstory and we're like, oh, okay, I think I like Mel Gibson
But he's
now.
a competent asshole, at least.
Sure, but you gotta give an amount for silliness.
Okay, now we're showing pictures of things. And
It's great for podcast.
No, did you know there's going to be a MacGruber 2? It's in production.
What? Really?
This movie made money?
No, it didn't.
I feel like we're jumping on the Lauren's segment, though. I find that impossible to believe.
I mean, I'm actually in a place where I'm excited.
I mean, that's what it says for upcoming projects under Will Forte.
I'm for it. Maybe
He
he's got
joked
enough
about it in a
cachet.
Seth Meyers interview
Yeah.
that somebody ran with.
I'm totally for it, but the movie came in like shy of breaking even, and so it was considered a big flop for the year.
And there was a big joke against China, too, that I can't imagine it
Yeah.
made that money up in the international markets. They might have redubbed
I'm
it.
curious if we just changed it to Korea.
Yeah, yeah.
Those markets. We're fine.
Now,
We changed it to something Middle Eastern.
this movie is on Rotten Tomatoes. It's 47% critically, which I buy. It's 34% audience score,
I'm
which
so
I have
surprised by
trouble with that.
Unless compared to like the other Lonely Islands, like Hot Rod, Popstar,
Yeah.
those surely all do much better.
Right? With usually with
I
audience
think-
score, they're more forgiving.
Popstar has more of a story.
True. I mean,
I mean, it does. I mean, I think
No, yeah.
it's a little bit more.
I agree with-
I mean, it's funny,
I-
but there's like more of a. I mean, there's like ridiculous moments in that movie too, but there's more of a story in that. So
This is a point where I think everyone else might disagree with me. I don't ever think the story is a detriment to this movie. I think the story is there to move the
there's
movie along, and
no
I don't.
redeeming quality to MacGruber. There's none.
No,
He is
absolutely
such a fucking asshole.
you're
I mean, and that to me is an important thing in a character, to be likable and also not likable at the same time. I mean, he can be an asshole, but then there's nothing that redeems him. And so I cannot think he's funny at
He
all.
saves the world from a nuclear
Not
missile.
really.
How about when he actually shows emotion and he gets really pathetic and he's willing to suck anyone's dick? I mean, that is played as a joke, but it is a vulnerability. It shows vulnerability. That's redeeming. I will
just
say.
shake my head at
I
that.
feel like, and I feel like I agree that like the story does hit all like your classic action movie beats, and like I want to give them full respect. Like it's there, and it's in other iterations. Like we've seen this movie before in other ways, and I feel as if Jorma Taccone and the whole team have achieved something that maybe was not the intent, but like set up a level that was so ridiculous that like it defies complaining about the character a little bit. Like I absolutely agree. I have certain amount of things like, oh, that's a weird story choice, and like you didn't explain that, but it has created an atmosphere that is so on one level trying to really hit like the feel of an 80s action film, and so take those moments very seriously, but then, as you say, like flip everything and, you know, undermine the expectation to be just so absolutely ridiculous that you don't need to have a realistic character choices or support a role or make someone likable, because it's just like, come on, we're just being ridiculous.
Every time it starts to hit, and I always call it like, I mean, I always think of those moments in like really absurd comedy movies as kind of sloggy, where, you know, it gets to, well, like I was talking about, where they have that moment of mutual respect, or the part where MacGruber talks about his past relationship with Kunt, and you're like, this is where the movie would slow down, but no, it just smashes into a joke really, really hard.
Yeah.
And
But
I
I
love
don't
that
even
kind of
think
stuff.
it's that funny. Like,
that's fair.
Nothing's really like that funny. There's really.
Comedy's
I
so
mean, it's like
subjective,
when
but, yeah.
when like when MacGruber is like acting silly and inflicting self-harm. You know, it's like that. Those moments are like the ha ha ha. You know, like I'm laughing at it, or like he's begging like for someone to team up with him by telling them he'll suck their dick, or he'll just like he'll screw them in the ass or whatever, screw them anywhere. And I mean that part is just like you just are like, oh my god, this is ridiculous, and so you are laughing at the absurdity of it, but. I mean, I can't think of anything that like really strikes me. It's like, I was laughing so hard at any one moment.
Because we're talking about comedy, and like Sam said, it's subjective. Like, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But what I also appreciate is that this movie.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, this movie will take absurd jokes that I think on their face, a lot of them are just straight up hilarious. Like I can't sit through the "I'll suck your dick" scene without breaking down and laughing. But then later on, we'll tag back to it, and when he has his "turn in your badge" moment with Powers Booth, and in the action movie, there's usually like a one-line quip. His one-line quip is he looks straight at Powers Booth and with a straight face says, "I will suck your fucking dick." And Powers Booth, who's fucking amazing in this movie, says
a good straight
in a total straight face, he goes, "It's over. No, it's over, Mac." Like that's amazing. Like the first joke is funny, but tagging back to it later, I think really just like
doubling down.
pushes the explosive truck over the edge.
And I agree that part was funny. That was like one of the more funnier parts for me.
What about the escalation of the car that insults his car? The the car that cuts him off and insults his sweet ride, and then
he even cut him off. All he says is,
like he insults
"Nice
the
car,
Miata."
man.
Yeah.
I would have loved to. I actually I was a little bit disappointed about how that ended.
Really?
I agree. I see what you're saying.
I wanted something. I don't know if it was
disappointed.
I don't know if it was something like I wanted the guy to like maybe there's some revelation that he actually was being genuine. Like, no, that's a nice car, or I don't know, just something.
I enjoyed the contextual of like he's obsessing over the car. He's got a notebook filled of like just diatribe of like Jack, all work no play, like writing the license plate number over and over and drawing pictures of him.
Each page gets a letter
peeing in the guy's mouth, and then finally, like he's at his lowest moment in the movie when he's just like about to give up. He sees the car, and I love that as he's like hitting the windows in with a tire iron and destroying the car, he's on the phone with Press Booth and figures out Gunn's plan and like, oh no, he's gonna rob the State of the Union tonight in an hour, and runs to the car to grab the gasoline so he can come back and torch the car. Like, that's great. I love that. Like, okay, I don't have much time, so I have to really make sure I jack up this car.
And the money shot of our hero walking away from explosion, it being the car, is great. For me, what made that moment just a little bit of a disappointment was that MacGruber didn't have, like, because MacGruber's obsessed about this car. Finding the notebook is hilarious. but then he just happens upon the car. It feels like we're building up to MacGruber doing something insane and tracking down the car at an inopportune moment, not just accidentally happening upon the way you describe it is hilarious, and it makes me buy it.
It's funnier than it actually is.
Well, Lauren sells jokes really well, so way better than anyone on SNL.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. SNL.
Do they get Shrey out?
Yeah.
Kate McKinnon's pretty funny.
She's pretty. She's alright.
No, we're all too old. They don't take anyone over 30 now or something like that. Lots of bitches. What else?
Oh, there's so much. And I was gonna go back, like another example of the lack of explanation for the silly, like the fact that obviously the style harkens back to the 1980s, MacGyver style, but that both MacGruber and Vicky St. Elmo are trapped in this 1980s style, even though MacGruber left the world after his wife's horrible death in 1999. There's no explanation or need for an explanation as to why these two characters are still in this,
She's got the feathered hair.
She's got the blue powder eye makeup. He drives his Miata and has his plug-in stereo that he takes with him everywhere. Like, there is no explanation as to why
My favorite.
they are so anachronistic, nor does there need to be, because we're like, this is the movie.
My favorite thing with the radio is when he drives up to, he's like, they're in the middle of nowhere, so he's only there to have this conversation. I think it was Ryan Philippe. And so he's presumably going to then get back into the car and drive up. He still takes the radio with him to have that conversation and then to get, I don't know. I really like that eye to detail, keeping the car radio.
Which makes when it gets broken such a dark...
Also, I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight. That was 80 songs. So.
It had a fun soundtrack. 80s.
I was like hoping for more 80 songs.
But there's no explanation. Like, there's no Austin Powers. Like, he left the world in the 80s. Like, nope. He lived through 99.
I love the build up of there's the moment where he pulls his car out of the garage for the first time and it's playing like really intense music, and then he turns it on and it plays like Baker Street. It's so good.
I do.
I can't hear I can't hear the opening to Broken Wings anymore with that. It's so good. I wrote down a few more moments of where I think, it takes the absurd, obvious joke and then either tags back to it or pushes it further. Like, the car blowing up is the obvious joke, and you see it coming there. But Will Forte running up, going, tug, and then just running around the car going, call 911, call 911.
Someone has to be alive. I like one of my... couple, like, one throwaway joke and one, like, probably my two favorite parts, when he's sitting with Ryan Philippe and he says, "You're loco, man," and there's a subtitle.
Yes. The only one in the movie.
You're crazy, man. And also, so he doesn't use guns. He does, and then it's revealed that he doesn't know how to use guns. But when he finally gets the two Uzis, that is one of the funniest visuals. Just him. He looks like one of the puppets in Team America World Police, just trying to shoot his guns. Oh, that was so funny.
And then he throws them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else we got, guys?
Oh,
Kristen Wiig is great in this movie.
yeah,
she is.
Great.
I think she's underused.
But I think she does a good job with it. Like, I think the point is having a weaker character, and like she does a good job of taking the like meek, abused character and like making her interesting.
Yeah, I think because, and I guess we're jumping into the gender politics thing because Vicky is, I think, very intentionally a weak character, and it's always kind of when people say, "Oh, it's supposed that that's the joke that she's a weak character," it's a little bit of a cop out, but I think Kristen Wiig really has some of the funniest moments in the movie. Like, her performance really shines through. I think like the coffee shop gag is just one of the best sequences in the movie.
But I love it because there has to be someone in the movie who's entirely game for MacGruber.
Yeah.
And like no questions asked. Of course, I'll do whatever your plan is. It must be correct.
I think it would be so much more interesting if she and Ryan Philippe reversed parts and they had a woman playing
That could be fun.
the sergeant, and then Ryan Philippe just being like the tag buddy. I mean, they could still have the same setup.
I mean, why can't they have two women, Laura?
Or two women, yeah. If you're, I was just keeping the same cast.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, what do you guys think of Ryan Philippe in this?
I think his name keeps changing.
What do you think of Ryan? Let's talk about him.
I can't
We
tell.
can stick to that.
I think he's there. He makes me laugh at a few points.
Uh-huh.
I can't tell if my problem with that character. It's not a huge problem. I don't think it breaks the movie or anything. But the little problems I have with the character, I can't tell if it's Ryan Philippe or if it's the writing for that character.
I never thought he was a strong actor.
that's
I've never really
interesting.
seen anything that I was impressed by. Like, at most, I've seen competent, and at least I've seen not good at all.
Well, I mean, he's
And-
just fabulous in Cruel Intentions.
Oh, Cruel Intentions is the worst movie, guys.
Oh, no, it's not.
Like, take the interestingness of Dangerous Liaisons and, like, put it in these terrible, like, tweens.
Buffy and Zoe make out? That's all you need. What else
Because
do you need
you're
from a
real
movie?
into Selma Blair, like,
But they don't play Bittersweet Symphony at the end of Dangerous Liaisons.
fair
That's
enough,
very true.
fair enough.
Ryan Felipe is in the actual worst movie ever, which is Crash.
But a lot of good people were in Crash. That's hard to tell. That's unfair. And that is a horrible movie.
I think he's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that part is just fine, and I think he does.
But so I agree that like a stronger actor maybe could have made that role more interesting.
I think
Yeah.
I was listening to listening to another podcast talking about MacGruber. And
Were they better than us? Was it good? How'd it go?
their podcast was entirely about Val Kilmer.
But we haven't even talked about it yet.
Yeah. But one of the people on that podcast mentioned that, Dixon Piper's supposed to be kind of the modern thriller hero. He's like your Jason Bourne type.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's there.
No.
That is an interesting contrast that could have been there,
Yeah.
If you had more of like a Matt Damon type in that role.
Yeah.
That would
And
be
like a
interesting.
stronger personality of like,
Yeah.
oh, it should be done my way as opposed to entirely
Yeah.
subordinate.
I mean, if that's what you're going for 1 year out of the academies,
Yeah.
just right there, you can't do it.
Right.
Yeah. There could have been more contrast to him as well. Like they had a little bit of and again, it's so preposterous that the Ken We Fault stuff, but if we're going for character reality, you could have had more of like the no, by the book, no, my way, come fighting. And like, we certainly saw plenty of no, my way from MacGruber, but like we could have seen Philippi doing a bit more argument for the right way.
We are not giving Philippi credit for sticking celery in his ass at the very end.
Did he do that? Or was that a body double? Because we know it was not Philip's body double.
I think it was him.
Okay.
They pan up all in one
I
shot,
can't recall
right?
the shot. Maybe. I don't know.
That's another one of like,
It-
on
yes.
paper, like first moment, like, oh, he stuck a celery in his ass, but then that damn dance that he does, like, damn it, it's back to funny.
How about the fact that he's eating the celery later?
He watched
just
it.
He watched it,
But yes, it was absolutely the Chekhov celery in the ass, and it was kind of a little obvious it was going to have to happen with Philippi at some point. So
Jokes are rough when there's a bit of like you, Lauren, you've been with me where we'll be watching something and I know the joke is coming and I say it, but but I still enjoy it. There's still something about the conclusion of that, and I think that might fall into that. Mm-hmm. Just like the way they do it as well. Like, yeah, I don't know.
There's a certain amount of like story structure and things where you can see what's happening.
It's like I
just
see what's
as sort of
exactly
traditional beats, but it's still satisfying when it happens.
That's true.
And jokes
And
with
like,
their different levels of selling.
Yeah, and like you said with the exploding van, like we all saw that coming. Like you said, but what they did with it was fun, and so that is good. You mentioned Val Kilmer. Let's talk about him.
He's great.
I remember hearing, maybe they talked about it in this podcast too, that like somebody years ago decided to make him a serious leading man, and that was a big mistake. And when he sticks to comedy or supporting roles, he's good.
Because he's always been great at comedy. Like, he's got a good sense for it. And being a good leading man in a comedy, sure. But it's different.
And he's been doing drama for so long that it's always, when I see him do comedy now, it is kind of surprising. Like, wait, he's very funny. I'm like, wait, yeah, he was very funny. And like, what were they again?
Kiss
Those
Kiss
early,
Penguin?
no, that too,
I'm
but
sorry.
they're very early.
Oh,
ones.
like Top
Batman
Secret.
Forever.
Hilarious. Real Genius, Top Secret.
Real Genius, Top Secret, exactly, yeah. So, shame on whoever decided to make him a serious leading actor.
It's a brilliant moment. I love the moment with it's him, but it's also the the way they edit and direct the moment. In the flashback to the wedding where Casey gets killed, they cut to Kunth in his limo, and he pulls out the detonator, but he doesn't just make eye contact with MacGruber. In slow motion, he says, "Fuck you," and then hits the button. Doesn't mouth it out, just mouth it out. You hear in slow motion him say, "Fuck you." It's so funny.
I will. Oh,
You go.
I was just going to say I had a very slight problem with that scene. Is I wasn't sure where everyone was. Is because we see MacGruber sees the Bible page turn, and that's where the explosive is. Are they supposed to see each other too? Because I thought it was. I wasn't sure if they were, because he says, supposedly the eye contact and says "fuck you," but at the same time, like, I didn't feel that he was where he could see.
Okay.
But this is super.
Since they didn't have the money for the establishing shot,
I guess so,
They didn't have the opportunity to really
Kunth
get
pulls
him
up
geography.
behind Casey, right? MacGruber can see Kunth. In slow motion, he makes eye contact with Casey. Casey sees what's going on. She explodes. Presumably, MacGruber's dead, right? Also, is that where everyone thinks MacGruber
Yes,
dies?
I believe that's the moment.
And
the
then Casey
explosion. He
explodes
should have died.
and explodes all over Vicky, which
Correct.
is where we get her shot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
With a
Absolutely.
lot more blood. Yeah. So, like I said, it was a super minor problem, but I did have a problem.
Will Forte's facial expressions are great too. He knows exactly how to shape his mouth when he's screaming.
As his jaw like moves back and forth. And there was a lot of screaming at the sky. This movie, were you okay with that?
I was.
I know you really didn't like it in Wolverine,
I know.
and this was okay.
If there was a moment where where Wolverine's screaming at the sky had like smash cut to him and Charles Xavier, and Wolverine had told Xavier, this is a fucking asshole of a day, then I would have been okay with it.
What did you think about all the panther growls during the explosions?
Sex Panther right in the middle of your explosion. It was amazing. It was so weird. I loved it.
Well, we touched upon earlier. Should we do Bobby and Lo discuss gender politics?
Do you want it?
If you want to.
Susan B. Anthony was on the dollar coin for a reason.
Stop objectifying me.
Gloria Steinem.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Equal rights amendment was never ratified.
Rosie the Riveter.
Oh my God, Bobby, shut up.
Rosie the Robot.
Who's gonna make me my sandwich?
My body, my choice.
Blatant.
Blatant.
Susan B. Anthony was taken off the dollar for a reason.
Beyonce.
It's rough with comedies because...
Especially
Yeah.
they're trying to
Yeah.
true to a period that has
exactly.
gone by.
It's tough because if you can't for every movie say, well, the woman character has this really shitty subordinate role because that's the joke, and so I don't think that completely buys the movie a way out, as far as that issue goes. But I think Kristen Wiig, her performance really shines through the movie. I don't think Vicky, all the weird stuff, the intentional weird stuff with Vicky, keeps Kristen Wiig from doing as much funny stuff as any of the guys in the movie, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree with you. I think that this is a really boring gender politics, but I mean, it's hard to talk about because I think that comedies are hard to talk about in a podcast form to critique because, again, subjective and it really depends on when you see it. Like the first time I saw this movie, I was like, yeah, it's there are funny moments. The second time, it's not so funny. But yeah, I mean, I just wish that they gave more females roles in this movie because there are not too many female characters. Kristen Wiig does do the best she can with her role.
Yeah. What about Maya Rudolph with her role?
It's fine. I mean,
Ooh, ouch.
not a lot of people are going to get that if you don't watch or didn't watch it.
Well, I didn't get
Currently-
that joke, but I'm sorry to interrupt the gender politics segment, but I still appreciated her performance. And
I thought the part was kind of stupid with his ex-wife. I didn't think she was necessary to have in there, honestly.
It's classic 80s movie. I mean, that's absolutely...
To have a ghost?
To have...
To have someone fucking a ghost?
Not to have the dead wife's ghost that you fuck, but your dead wife that you're lamenting, and that's
Which
why
was-
you have a
No.
terrible
That
one. Okay. You didn't have a problem with that.
Having
Okay.
having
You didn't have a problem with her
have
existence, just...
a dead wife was fine, and that's
Gotcha.
not. I mean, that's usually
You're implying there's something unseemly about him fucking his dead wife's ghost on her grave.
which was
This is what you're
a
saying.
very funny scene, by the way.
And I think the funniest
really.
part of that scene isn't necessarily Will Forte fucking empty air. It's the needle drop, right? Like
Right.
they have their tender scene, and then you hear broken wings start. You're like, oh, we're doing this again.
Because we've just come from the already
Right.
very silly sex scene with Kristen Wiig, and immediately we're on to the duplicate of that.
Now, I thought, being that this was the unrated version, they would then they cut to the groundskeeper sees them having sex, or not sees them, sees MacGruber having sex with over the grave. I thought for sure he's going to go to that and there's going to be splooge on the gravestone. And I'm not sure if that was oh good, they didn't do that, or not, no, that was a missed opportunity.
I think it's oh good.
But like again, I just thought for the unrated version, like, oh, they're 100% going to do this. This is what they put back in the movie. But I guess not.
The first time I saw that scene, because the drop with broken wings is amazing. Redoing kind of the Top Gun really sensual sex scene thing was great. And then when they cut to just them doing really gross sex on the gravestone, I'm like, oh, we're hitting the point of diminishing returns. It's not as funny. But ending that with I just shot, and then Maya Rudolph going, so did I. It's so good. It's the perfect button on that. It's not gender politics, but I can't remember if it was that Val Kilmer podcast or something I was reading. Someone mentioned having a problem with specifically the "I'll suck your dick" scene, and saying that kind of took weird homophobic tones, and that like the grossest thing that we're poking fun at gay sex in that moment. I don't know that I'm not like trying to automatically naysay that, but I think the joke of that scene is more on MacGruber, who's so superficially obsessed with his own masculinity, who's so obsessed with being this heterosexual, ladies guy. Yeah. That immediately the thing that he thinks of to prostrate himself is "I'll suck your dick," and how quickly he crumbles.
Offer.
Yeah,
we are also talking about a guy who rejected a team member.
That was the part that I was worried about was homophobic, and then we came to that scene, and I agree that scene was not homophobic. That was about something entirely.
That was who MacGruber was.
That was just supplication, and that was a very ridiculous, humorous way to depict it.
And it also, if you're set up of '80s movies. Yeah. They're not going to want the guy member. So.
But and it's and him sending away the gay member is 2 seconds after his exchange with Chris Jericho, which is, I wrote it down because it's amazing. Looks like you're keeping your body pretty tight. Looks like you're taking care of yourself. Well, every day's a workout when you carry around a 20-foot python in your jeans. You and your dick comments. It's fun to say them. It's fun to hear them. That's why I say them. That's why I listen. That is so homoerotic.
That's true. I did not put those two together, but that's amazing.
There were so many moments that were just absolutely like the Lonely Island style, like shining through. Like I can hear Andy Samberg saying this, like just those carry-ons of those kinds of jokes.
All right, let's do IMDb trivia, TM.
Okay, guys, this is fun. All right, what we got? So, as you all know...
I love your own fanfare for the thing.
Hooray, this is gonna be great. All right, as you guys all know, this is the IMDb trivia, which is not fact-checked anywhere. I only go to one site and see what was posted there, which I believe is open to all people to post, so take everything with a grain of salt.
Hey, what are you doing?
Don't
delegitimize your
No,
segment.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
that, like,
I am fanfare, and then
I'm saying,
you are a trivia master, and if you're gonna start with like, by the way, this might all be total bullshit.
I'm sorry.
Stick with your guns.
I was not
or we'll take
apologizing
it away
for
from
that
you.
fact. This is what I was saying. I was no bones about it. Like, I don't care if this is not true. I was celebrating my commitment to only looking at one source of information and presenting it
Donald
as fact.
Trump that shit and
I'm
go to war over it.
So, the movie was shot in 28 days with only 2 days of reshooting because it was just so perfect immediately, I'm sure. was the plan.
Oh boy.
Our director, Jorma, the director.
What's his last name?
Tacone, I believe. There was some real important scrambling before. Like, wait, how do we pronounce his last name? Tacone? How's he do it? Because it's different every time. But let's go with Tacone, a very Americanized Tacone. On the film's, the DVD commentary track, he plays a drinking game where every time MacGruber's name or any variation of it is used in a line of dialogue, he will take a drink of beer. And by the end of it, he drank 4 beers. See. And then as we sort of covered on his MacGruber's 6 cohorts who all died tragically in the van were all at that time active WWE wrestlers. I could give a list of names, but I don't care about them because I don't know who they are.
So it was the gay one who didn't make the team.
It was very sad.
The Big Show. I'm sorry. I apologize. I interrupted.
Oh no, it was not shush you, but like let's have quiet so you can cut out the big gaps while I like scramble in my phone.
Oh no, but it is fair. This is your segment. I'm adding things that were not necessarily in IMDb trivia, so I apologize profusely.
No, you're great.
Profusely.
It's not going to be a surprise to all of us, but a major influence on the film was Die Hard, which is Norma's favorite movie.
I wonder why I don't like it.
But so, I mean, that explains a lot of, I think, the tone and the shifts. And he actually located and used the prop C4 explosives from the Die Hard film in this, one of the action sequences in this one. And part of the pre-production work for Val Kilmer and Powers Booth was they were told to act like they were in a Joel Silver-produced film in 1988, which I think carries through, and I think we've covered how successful it was, the seriousness and the gravitas with which they played.
So, additional fun trivia. Every time we mention Die Hard in the positive, Ronnie Roberts somewhere in the world gets a searing headache.
Yay!
Die Hard's great, Die Hard's great, Die Hard's great. Kidding, Ron. So Will Forte is very comfortable with his body. Just to make clear, he did not use a body double, and we've basically covered that, but just to make it official, did not use a body double during his sex scene with Vicky St. Elmo. However, he was surprised that he had surprised the director by expressing discomfort on the day at the number of people who were on the set, and Jorma was quite surprised because he didn't know that Forte cared about being naked in front of strangers. But he has a little bit of shame.
So he has some. There's a level.
And just the last one I thought I was tickled by. We can decide if it's interesting and you can cut it out. But Val Kilmer and Will Forte almost ended up on The Amazing Race because of this film.
Oh my god! How did that not happen?
And almost seems like a little bit generous of a term, but they became really good friends on this film. And then Kilmer later stayed at Forte's house for a few months while searching for a new LA-based home for himself. And Forte, who's a huge Amazing Race fan, introduced Kilmer to the show. And they were going to apply as a team when they had other work commitments.
This is the most frustrating thing I've ever heard. Because I would be all about that.
But I love the idea that Val Kilmer and Will Forte are very good friends.
Yeah,
and like he's
great.
a house buddy.
Now, this wasn't an IMDb trivia, but in the end credits, there's a special thanks to the Boner Ghost.
Did you guys catch the Boner Ghost?
No.
Yeah.
Sam Happily was actually
I'm a credit
committing
watcher.
to the credits.
And yeah, special thanks to the Boner Ghost, which... Do you want to explain it? We pulled up a YouTube
This is you
video.
were good enough to find it.
It was rough. It's going to be rough because I'm not great at
Are you going to relate it, or you just want to direct people to it?
We could...
Okay.
It is on YouTube. If you look up the Boner Ghost, you'll see it. Seth Meyers tells the story
Like
about
on a panel of some sort.
when they were filming, they were staying at this house that Will Forte convinces... Was it Seth?
Yeah,
that this house is haunted and there's a boner ghost haunting the place.
And part of the delight in this video, which I really suggest watching, is Seth Meyers doing his Will Forte impression.
It was fun.
Saying like Will Forte came here and I'm like, I have to tell you, this house is haunted. And he does a really good Will Forte impression. Then what happens?
And then he says, so like what happens is this boner ghost comes and
it comes...
Yeah. No, go for it.
No, were you going to say how he's going to have sex with you?
Yeah.
Okay, you do that.
No, yeah, this boner ghost is going to come and he's going to have sex with you, but just like let it happen and then
It'll go away.
So, well into the night, Seth Meyers hears "Ooh" coming from far in the house, and then like half an hour later he hears a little bit closer "Ooh," and then like next thing he knows he hears it again, and there is an apparition with a bath towel covering his face, but otherwise he's nude and he's doing some little dance and... So you had a boner? I don't remember.
I hope not.
And then
but disapparates.
Yeah, goes away. And then so what
and then very shortly thereafter he hears running coming up the
Will
stairs.
Forte comes up with a towel around his waist and what did he say?
Nothing else. Just like, we thought we heard the boner ghost. Are you okay? We want to come check on you.
It's funny on YouTube.
It is funny on YouTube. But it's just the adorable hijinks that comedians get together when they're working on a film.
This is hilarious.
But really watch it because Seth Meyers' Will Forte impression is golden.
It's really funny.
But so wait, there was a boner ghost?
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's do verdict. Final verdict. What did you think about the boner ghost story, Bobby? No, obviously, still like the movie?
No, I fucking hate this movie. This was a mistake. I thought Tron Legacy was a mistake, but this was a mistake. No, I love this movie. I think it's real funny. I I mean, I've watched this movie, I think, 4 times, and I still can't get through some of those scenes without laughing. I'm sad that it doesn't sort of have the cult following it deserves. But, yeah, I really like this movie.
Laura, you do not.
Yeah, no.
All right. Laura?
I mean, I don't really have much to say.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
like
what
it
can you say?
very much.
How
So.
about you, Lauren?
I do. I absolutely understand anyone's complaint as to why they would not care for it. I would not be surprised by anyone who thought it was silly or stupid. But it was infectiously funny and just committed and doubled down on things so effectively that anything that was a flaw in any other movie trying to be a bit more serious, like, don't worry about it in this one. We're just going to cycle back to funny. So,
Laura, when you watched it the second time, did you watch it with Bobby or alone?
No, shit with Bobby. But I watched it both times with Bobby.
Because I think there's a certain... Comedies are better in group, or at least pairs.
Yeah, I watched it both times with Bobby.
Okay. Huh, interesting. I also love the movie. I thought it was really good, really funny. And during the podcast, I threw out those things like, the comedy should work on its own, and maybe that's true, maybe not. I don't know. But this totally worked for me. I laughed through it, and
hooray!
Never a dull moment. And I'd say 3 out of 4 when the person who didn't like it was Lauren. I almost got through the podcast without screwing up the names.
No, you got it right.
Oh,
and you corrected yourself.
I'm so stupid. Anyway. Getting through the...
Okay, if a 47% of the population doesn't like it, then you guys can judge that, okay?
No,
or 57,
we have a solid C. We're working on 75% right now.
Yeah, and when the person who doesn't like it is Laura...
Or 34% likes it, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
well, only 34%
You're
like
judging
Trump,
a bell
but we're not
curve.
listening
Yeah,
to them.
exactly. Yeah.
Funny, they're all in charge.
34% is baffling to me of audience score.
And honestly,
That's Trump's
it's really
approval
too.
rating right now.
Well, it's gotten him.
And I bet it's the exact same people. We're all Trump supporters, right? We all think he's doing a hell of a job.
I'm
It's
focusing
a
all
hell
my
of a
attention
job.
toward Le Pen right now, so. What is happening?
You're
Anyway.
very political nowadays.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the
Is
movie.
this the closest anyone's come to a victory on this podcast? I'm really happy and excited right now.
Jesse did well with Space Jam.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, and then after the fact, Lauren said she hated it.
No, I believe I said at the time that I did not like it.
No,
Lauren
we can
definitely
rewind.
dialed all the way back on that one.
Yeah.
She said it was kind of fun, and now she's like, no, I hated it.
I was the only one who
Terrible
didn't
movie.
like that movie.
I think I did like a reluctant, like, it was kind of fun.
I don't care. I'll be the solo one who does not like the movie. I don't care. Because wait till you guys watch it again, because you won't like it.
We need a fan to compile, start a wiki for us, and to compile what movies have done well on this podcast.
Okay, I'll do it, Sam. Jesus. Alright, it's fine.
All right.
You know,
Where will we find?
This is a toss-out thing. So I often buy the movies if it's just like a couple bucks more to buy them as opposed to rent them. And every once in a while I'll cycle through my movie collection on iTunes and I'll realize things like I own Batman and Robin and Batman Forever because they were cheaper as a package. I own The Postman. That's just in my iTunes collection forever. I own Space Jam. I own Twilight, you know? So this podcast has really changed my life in a profound... long after it's gone, I will still own The Postman.
The kind of target marketing that you're getting because of your purchasing history is really shifting.
Just, iTunes wants me to buy so many Kevin Costner movies.
Awesome. Let's talk about the movie we wish we'd seen.
Ugh, this movie is crap. I could write a better movie in my sleep.
And now, IDOBM presents the movie we'd wish we'd seen.
And that is, of course, where we take an aspect of the movie and we talk about a sequel, prequel, character who should get his own movie, some parallel movie, something like that. We already heard from Laura, 100% confirmed, that we are getting a MacGruber 2. So maybe
if you didn't like it, then you could get another one.
Maybe we can focus. What would you like to see in MacGruber 2? Bobby, you start.
I would like MacGruber 2 to actually be a prequel called MacGruber Nicaragua. I would like to see Kristen Wiig get shot, and I would like the Ryan Phillippe character to be Chris Jericho.
How about you, Laura?
I think that I want to see different people in the movie.
That was the most Laura response.
I would like to see this movie with different people and see if it changes the movie for me.
Okay.
I mean, like, if it adds anything or if it takes away from anything, to know if they did a good job or they didn't do a good job. Because it's really hard because the material is so sparse and stupid that I want to see.
This is such a weird way to spend your one like alternate universe trip, is to be like, I want to go to MacGruber where
I'm curious. Like, I'm just curious. Oh my god, why do you go to Hugh Grant?
Because now you will see them.
I mean, I would put Matt Damon in that role, so. Or in the role of Ryan Phillips.
I think Matt Damon is very funny.
Yeah, he's amazing.
No complaints here.
That's a good thought, actually.
How about you, Lauren?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with actually that I hesitate to remove any block in this Jenga tower of a comedy film because I do feel like it teeters so precariously and yet stands perfectly the way it is, and like you remove any element and that just becomes like any other comedy. I do agree that I might like to see it with a stronger comedic actor in the Ryan Phillippe role. If we could get like Matt Damon would be fun, or even if we got SNL, like someone like a Beck Bennett who could do straight guy, like
Beck Bennett would crush it.
Yeah, like you could really.
Oh yeah,
do,
Matt Damon as MacGruber, Beck Bennett as Ryan Phillippe,
No, I don't want to lose.
and then Kate McKinnon as Vicky St. Elmo.
Oh, you were replacing Kristen Wiig.
Wow,
that's a bold
yeah.
move.
Yeah, that is bold.
That's so nice.
So like that, I would like to see that configuration where just that character could be stronger, because I do feel like it's the weakest part of the movie. And then I'm intrigued by Laura's idea of taking out the Vicky St. Elmo character, which would be a shame because she's kind of here and she supports the ridiculousness of having two characters that are trapped in the 80s. But if we could make the argument that MacGruber has been out of reality and he's the only one who's anachronistic and has to team up with a strong female by the book FBI, CIA, what are they? Something?
I don't know. Military.
Pentagon.
Pentagon. The P-E-N-T-O-G-O-N.
Yeah. Military figure who, and then they could have a blossoming love story where, like, she comes over to his way of thinking or something like that through mutual respect. Like, that could be a fun movie. But then again, veers into the area of more conventional film, and I'm not saying I want that.
Oh yeah, and that would change MacGruber to be less of an asshole.
I would also like to see somebody replacing Ryan. Since we can't agree on his last name, I'll just call him that.
I think you said Taccone, right?
Ryan Taccone, yeah. Taccone. I really like Powers Booth in this. I would like to see something of... Oh, I'm torn. Okay. Could be either...
Judi Dench.
MacGruber... What?
Yeah,
No.
The sequel is absolutely MacGruber Goes to England.
Yes.
And
MacGruber and Powers Booth, the prequel, where they're somehow doing something together, or MacGruber and what's her name character, Vicky St. Elmo, the Kristen Wiig character. They start like a music career, and I think that would be fun because Lauren pointed out that they did not do much with her music, and they could have done a little bit more with that. Not that I'm complaining too much because it was still funny, but yeah, just something with that would be fun. So.
I think we want to see the game change, but the players stay the same.
That would be fun. I also want to see Cunt get pounded. What was it?
It's time to pound some cunt.
Pound some cunt.
you keep saying that.
I expected, like, when he was like, oh, I hope you're there when I can't finally kill him, because I've got a great one for that. I really wanted him to do it and then just say, I just pounded some cunt.
I have some bad news to tell you. Powers Booth is a Republican. He voiced an ad for John McCain.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
fine.
that's fine.
John
That's-
McCain's a relatively acceptable.
Well, but he's
not
probably
great.
voted for Trump too.
That
Does it say that on his Wikipedia page, or are you just making shit up right now?
I'm just saying,
He was also the voice of Gorilla Grodd, so he's awesome.
Can I say, we've given Ryan Phillippe kind of a little bit of shit. One of the funniest deliveries of the movie to me was when MacGruber says, how's your nose, rookie? And then Ryan Phillippe goes, fine. I just banged it into a giant vagina. It's pretty funny.
Let's do things that need no defense. Just whatever we're into right now.
Yeah, he is a Republican. Sorry.
But like, what kind of Republican?
Like the kind who's
Like
friends
Freedom
with John
Caucus
Boyd.
bullshit?
He's not the kind that
What kind
talks
of
to an
Republican is John
empty
Boyd?
chair during the RNC, is he?
I don't
Yeah.
feel that you could play the straight man, like that character as well as Powers Booth does without being a little bit Republican, right?
No, I mean he's
That's
like
true.
a Trump supporter.
Is he wearing a Make America Great Again hat?
No, but this is them. You know, John Boyd is like a big Trump supporter.
Is he? Well,
Yeah.
John Boyd's always felt a little crazy.
This photo's from 2004, though.
That's not.
Okay, so
When people should have known better, but didn't
Laura's showing me a
necessarily.
photo of Powers Booth.
I'm
being
showing him
being
an article from 2017. Celebrities who are Republican conservative.
Yeah, it's a photo of him being a Minuteman at the border.
anyway, so just
You don't have to laugh at him.
whatever we're into right now. Laura. Lauren.
No.
So,
don't do
oh,
that.
okay. I wasn't sure. I thought you were like, oh,
I was
I
like,
was ready
oh
to
my
go.
goodness.
Okay. God, do I have anything right now? Bobby, do you have something you could do?
The needs no defense?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I'm trying to tie it into MacGruber.
Oh, Jackie. I mean, I'm sorry. You asked me first, and
No,
you just
that's
moved
fine.
on.
You know, I'm gonna pass the conch back to Laura. Okay, that's it? You're just gonna
I
say
think
Jackie?
this is actually a bad website, so I don't know if he is.
You're still looking at Powers
Oh,
Booth,
yeah, I
but
was
just
trying to find this out.
occasionally just putting on Jackie.
No, I watched Jackie on the plane, and I didn't think that movie would be really good. But
It's
it
totally
is.
very similar to MacGruber.
No, it's not. It's not anything like it, but it's a very sad movie, and it's very slow, but very, very good.
All right, cool. How about you, Bobby?
I'm trying to tie it into MacGruber. Saw a movie recently that's also kind of about fragility and masculinity. But Laura and I saw Colossal, the Anne Hathaway kaiju movie. It's really good. I really liked it.
We're gonna talk about this more.
So I would.
Did you guys see it?
It's
No,
a very.
I'm curious.
It's a very different movie than I thought it would be going into it, but I recommend people watch it and try to go into it as unspoiled
Yeah, we
as
can
you
talk
possibly
about
can.
it.
Huh,
But
interesting.
yeah, it's good.
I'll go. I don't know if Lauren's quite ready yet, but I watched the 7.5 hour OJ Made in America
Oh,
documentary.
it's great.
Yeah, it was very good, and it really just explores our. I don't want to say now because I think now kind of things have changed, and not necessarily in a positive way either. But this celebrity fascination that we have, and forgiveness that we have had for what happened, and also, I mean, it gave me some insights into things that I always thought like, oh, these jurors are fucking idiots for what jurors are idiots for what they did. But really seeing it in context and seeing the things, I'm like, oh, I 100% believe that OJ did it. But at the same time, I could see how a jury not seeing some things and really being their nose rubbed into certain other things could come to a certain verdict.
That documentary really sets the context for the time in
Very
which it
much
took
so
place.
too. Yeah. And it was interesting having there was two African American jurors who were on it, and they had very different viewpoints about what happened, and it was fascinating from beginning to end. And there was also a lot of stuff that happened after the verdict that I didn't know about, just because I try not to pay attention to celebrity stuff. I think TMZ and their ilk are scum, which goes to what I was saying about how things aren't great now. Like now we have this, there's still that kind of like, idol worship, but at the same time we have this iconoclast thing going on too. We just want to tear apart our celebrities. So they're two sides of the same coin, and it's neither one is good, but it is what it is. And like I said, there was all the stuff that OJ was into in Miami that I did not know about that was super fascinating. And yeah, it was really good documentary. And I'm going to throw in one other one for video game, Untangle. Is that what it's called? No, I'm always going to call it that. Unravel, I think, which is just a super sweet, fun game. And now, Lauren,
Wow,
you've been
I wish I
given
would've gone
time
first.
aplenty.
Wish I would have gone first, man. It's going to feel so ridiculous after your, treatise on race in America. I'm going to feel dumb just for saying that, guys, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is back!
But
After a ridiculously... That was, I thought. If you enjoy MacGruber, after a ridiculously long hiatus, new episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine are back on Fox. If you haven't seen it, it's about a police precinct. Andy Samberg is in it, as well as many other brilliant comedic characters. Chelsea Peretti, the great comedic character Andre Braugher. We all know. We've all just remember his storied comedy career. He's hilarious. It's a great show. It's a really taut, excellent comedy, and I think everyone should watch. After you watch the O.J. Simpson 7-hour documentary and your life is just sad and you think we'll never escape the morass of the racial incongruity of this country, just watch some comedy.
No, racism's over. So let's do plugs. I'll get mine out of the way. My improv group, The Upperclassmen, has a show June 11th. It's Upperclassmen Kids. I forget what we're calling it exactly, but it's a quote-unquote kids show. Do not bring your kids. It's going to have things like, I'm going to have some short films about me being a very informative nature guy, not suitable for kids. And, come and
So that's why you call it kids shows. It's not suitable for kids.
It's going to be like a Wonder Chosen type, not exactly like that, but like that kind of thing where, it's ostensibly for kids. Do not bring your kids. And again, that's June 11th. So come on down to Long Beach Playhouse and bring your kids.
Cool. I'll bring my 5-year-old cousin.
Yeah, please do.
I'd like to put a disclaimer. Obviously, you all spotted it. That show is the same night as the Tony Awards. I know, we're all very upset about it, but DVR is a wonderful, magical thing, and if you can stand to record the show, I know that's asking a lot.
We're talking about recording Sam show?
No, sadly.
I wish that were an option.
But they're very funny, and I'd say, give it a shot. We're very sorry for this horrible scheduling nightmare, and pray it will never happen again.
We do record our shows, but not everything gets recorded, and not everything ends up on.
It's not as exciting as being there live!
No. And also, I'm going to put in a plug for, I decided to get on the same page as our website, and we started a new email, idobmpodcast@gmail.com. So now that has the same name. So email us there, and we'll more than likely respond to you in some way. Oh, good news. Somebody wants to fund our podcast. All we have to do, it's some guy in Africa. I just need to give him my bank account number, and then he's going to totally pay for everything for the podcast.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's super excited
Has
about
he
it.
said how much he'll give us?
No, but I figure I'm going to deal with the details later. Just give him all my personal mother's maiden name and social right now first.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's exciting.
I would like to throw out, our website, IDOBM Podcast, IDOBMpodcast.com is still up. I built it on WordPress, but Squarespace templates sure do seem really nice. I wish I had the opportunity to explore Squarespace a little bit. So, if anyone at Squarespace wanted to sponsor this podcast,
I hear
that'd
they
be
have
cool.
really good drag and drop capabilities.
Not too much.
No,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
We
Just give them a taste.
We don't
Give
give
them a
them for
taste.
free. Yeah,
Yeah, I hear, but I do hear you don't need to know anything about coding, and
it's true.
SEO is all built in. And
Oh, I forgot one other thing. I'm slowly putting our backlog onto YouTube. So if you prefer to listen to this on YouTube, we prefer you to listen to it on iTunes because, or one of the other services. But if for whatever reason that doesn't work for you, we'll be on YouTube. Please do go to iTunes and rate us. It helps people find the podcast.
And if you're watching on YouTube and you want to listen to your Audible library at the same time, Audible supplies, a giant collection of audiobooks. I don't know. I don't have an Audible account because...
Personally, I like to listen to these things while lying on a comfortable mattress that comes in the, in a refrigerator, a small mini refrigerator sized box. But alas, I don't have one of those either. So, anyone else want to plug anything?
You guys are really funny. I
I
was
know.
laughing the whole time. I may not have
Well,
outwardly laughed, but
you
I
didn't
was
like
laughing
MacGruber,
inside.
so
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't like it. Sorry to tell you. One of my friends legitimately hates this movie. This was years ago. She told me this, and I know why.
Who is this person?
she has poor taste in movies.
I don't know.
What's her name? An address.
I cannot say.
I watched this movie in the theaters, and I was trying to think today why I watched this movie in the theaters, because I didn't like the MacGruber sketch that much. I don't know what... it must have been Yorma, honestly. I don't... Because I really have a soft spot for Hot Rod, but I don't... I can't for the life of me remember why I decided to go watch MacGruber in the theaters.
Interesting.
That was not interesting.
Odd. So I asked it again.
I'm just kidding.
So I asked it again. Anything else anyone has to plug? All right. Good job,
I don't know,
guys.
but I like holes.
Just like holes. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Bobby, seriously, thanks for bringing this movie to our
I'm so happy, guys.
And thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.